Hello, I'm Elizabeth Hefner from Berks Career and Technology Center, the campus counselor at West Campus.
And I'm Stacy Campbell, counselor at East Campus. Welcome to Career Talk Tuesday. Today we have with us Mr. Alan Blackburn, who is the instructor. Let's see, I don't even know the name of your program anymore. It's Engineering Technologies, but there's more to it. What is the full title of your program?
So we like to confuse everybody, so we want to change it every year. Now it's Mechatronics Engineering Technology.
Okay.
How's that?
That was perfect.
Very good. Oh, no, you're spotlighted, Mr. Blackburn. So I guess our question is, our question for you is kind of what got you to where you're at with your career, kind of what walked you, walk us through your path of what's happened throughout your career life.
Well, I've had a good run. You know, it's been a fun time. I've had a lot of luck in my life, but I look at luck as something you have to embrace. You know, paths are, you always have Y's in your road. You know, and it's which Y do you take? Do I take the right one or the left one? And I've been fortunate that I've kind of always taken the right one. It's helped me out. Back growing up, I always wanted to be a baker. That's what I wanted to be.
Really?
I always wanted to be a baker. Yeah, for some reason back in the day, that was on my mind. I mean, I had that on my mind up to high school, and I was late to get signed up for the local vote. It was a VOTEC back then, and I was late to sign up for it to get into the culinary program. So they were full. I didn't get accepted. So I had to go to the high school, and I'm talking to my parents. They said, hey, well, why don't you take one of these these electronics classes they had there. So I signed up for the electronics class, and a couple months later, VOTEC said they have an opening. So now I had a choice to make. Do I stay high school, the electronics, or go to the VOTEC and I decided to stay at the high school. I finished electronics. I ended up going to, I got an offer to do electronics at a tech school that was off. That was a private tech school. And I did that, and I became an electronic technician for many years. About 3 or 4 years. I worked in different companies. One day I was at a company and I worked with an electrician, and he said, you know, you should go to school. You don't want to, you don't want to end up where I am. I'm paying for my kids to go to school. You know, I have to work a lot of hours just to pay for this. So you're smart enough, go to school. Try to, use that talent. So I didn't even think about it. You know, it was in the back of my mind. Work was kind of slow. We were on 4-day work weeks instead of 5. And I was having dinner with my sister. She had a friend over, and the friend was talking about a new program at Westchester University, or college at the time, where they were offering a engineering program. Wow. I had 4 days a week. I was off on a Friday. I went down to Westchester on a Friday, talked to them. This was in I don't know, May. And they said, oh, yeah, we have openings. You can get in. They accepted me right then. I was like, uh-oh. I could start in September.
Wait a minute, Mr. Blackburn, what kind of program was this? To be attending 1 day a week?
I went full-time to college then.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so I just had Fridays off, but I quit my work. I went full-time to college, and I got a physics degree from Westchester. I transferred into Penn State, got a bachelor in electrical engineering, and that's how I got my engineering degree. And I got jobs after that, got a job right after college, and that led me into another job, and then here. I really only had 3 engineering jobs, but I got promoted along the way to do various things. So, but it was that first listening to that one guy who said, hey, you should go to school. And if I would have just dropped that, who knows what I'd be doing right now. But everything kind of was put in front of me, and I took it. So
So I have to ask, I'm sure Mrs. Hefner has a question too, and I'm probably jumping ahead of you. I'm so sorry, I'll be quick. The baking piece, we have to go back to the baking piece.
Yes.
Right, so
Okay.
well, what I'm really curious about is, because engineers, I think, have, like, there's this stereotypical idea that they're not terribly creative, that they're very scientific and kind of rigid, and yet I'm thinking that to be a really good engineer, you must be very creative because you're problem solvers. Like, engineers are problem solvers, and that means that you've got to come up with some novel solution to a problem that didn't exist before. So what drew you to baking? What drew you to baking? And did you end up using any of that same whatever was internal in you in engineering?
So baking was really one of those, you're in elementary school and you're watching, programs where they bring in people from different careers. And I was like, baking, wow, that sounds really neat. And I used to help my mom bake and cook. So that really, and watching these things they made and stuff like that, it was really neat. So that's what intrigued me, and it just was always there. But if you think about it, okay, so there's the recipe, okay, that you have to use. So there's a process. It's very logical. Okay,
True.
there's reactions. Baking is chemical reactions. So there's reactions going on. If you use the wrong parts, you're going to get a wrong reaction. Okay, you use baking soda versus baking powder or something like that.
That's
it's not going to come out right. So it's the same with engineering. Okay, is there's formulas, there's rules, there's laws. Well, there's that in the culinary arts. Do I have to add a little bit more salt or a little bit less that? Yes. Well, that's the real world. Okay, there's tolerances in engineering, so they're very similar.
And I guess there is really troubleshooting in the baking industry too. Like
exactly.
There is sometimes some recipes work and some don't. But that's so interesting. I guess, Mr. Blackburn, my question is like the roles that you had. Like, did you start at the job that you really, really wanted, or did it take you some time? It sounded like you kind of went up somewhere into different roles.
So again, how things happen in life, So I was coming out of high school, and I didn't, I had a job offer. It was the job offer I got was I went in. So back then, we did not apply online. Okay, you actually had to go to a company. Okay, and so I took a day off of school, and I had a whole list of companies, and they were typically in industrial parks. And I went to each company, and I went in, and I filled out an application with a pen. Okay, I had to fill it out, and you handed it in to the receptionist. There's a receptionist there. Take it, or he or whoever was there, and they would take it. And if they had a job opening, they might call you up at some point. Well, I went into one, and I applied, and a couple days later, I get a phone call, and saying it was from a manager there, and he said, "I'm going to offer you a job. I have not even met you, but my receptionist was so impressed with you that you were such a gentleman and so respectful. She said, we have to hire you.
Wow.
So I'm hiring you."
That's wonderful.
Okay. I feel the need to jump in here and say to our two watchers, our two viewers, that is not completely typical, that that the receptionist has enough power to be able to interview the boss. But on the other hand, you never know who you're interviewing with.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so fast forward many years later, I'm a hiring manager. I'm hiring engineers and technicians. Okay. I would always ask the person who met them at the front door, took them in, how were you treated? If they get, they were really, belligerent, or they gave me lip or something like that, nix them,
Right.
So I took what happened to me, and now fast forward, you could use it. And because it is when you're working when you're in a work environment, you're working with so many other people. You cannot have this head banging. You have to have camaraderie. That's a big part of it. That's what makes the job work. One of the things that I like about jobs is working with the people and that camaraderie built. So
you said
another question I have. Sorry,
Sample. No, you go ahead.
Questions. So then you were hiring managers. So what would you say that you were looking for from an engineer that was interviewing with you, how they presented themselves, what skills they had, and also kind of what they were wearing, what, and maybe did they have to have a resume? Did they not? So there's multiple questions here. Sorry.
so typically, the whole hiring methodology changed over the years from when I went. When I started hiring people, it was a written resume. Okay, people would send in. They would type it up and they would hand it to you at the interview. But you would typically have it mailed in. They would mail it in to you or give it to you at the like I said, at the interview or at the application when they filled it out. And then it evolved where then it become online. But you would always have a resume with you, so that I would always ask for one, and we would get one from a person when they came to the interview. I would always like that ahead of time because I would make notes on it. I would take that and make notes because I wanted to prepare as the person interviewing. I wanted to prepare questions to find out, does the experience this person displays on their resume, does it fit, and how does it fit? So I'm going to ask them specific questions. If they have something about, I did this project which saved this money. Well, was that with a team? Was that individual? Okay, I want to look for, I'm looking for, teamwork. Okay, can they work with others well? Did they lead anything, or were they just a team player? Okay, leadership skills you're looking for. Definitely you want experience. Okay, so is it applicable? Okay, did they do something that directly applies to what we're doing? If not, is there something similar? I didn't rule people out just because, he didn't say he did, he worked with this widget. You have to say, well, he worked with that widget. That's, it sort of fits, and so you want to give the person, really, a lot of it had to do with first impressions. It really is. How does the person look? Do they seem professional? Do they make eye contact? Do they talk well? Do they present themselves well? That's a big thing. As an engineer, you're going to be presenting things. Okay, you're going to be presenting things to your boss, to your boss's boss, to you're going to have to get people to get on board with something you're doing. If I have a project, that project, I may be asking for $1 million, right, from the company. They're going to give it to me because of my good looks, my nice hair. No, they're going to give it to me because of what I'm presenting. I'm presenting something that makes sense to them. Okay, so you want to see that. So as you're interviewing, hopefully those are coming out during the interview. So I'm looking for someone who is engaged in the interview. Not someone, sitting back, expecting something. I want someone engaged with it and seems interested. If I give them a tour of the facility, I don't want to have to look behind and they're kind of dawdling back there. They're right next to me. They're interested. They're asking me questions about it that are relevant.
So it sounds like having some excitement for the job, is also really important. Showing that they researched the job, are interested in the job, and also presenting that their skills align with what they're saying on their resume and everything like that, but also their attitude.
Yeah.
Ms. Campbell, because I know we're running close to time. Did you have a question?
Oh yeah, I got a couple quick ones.
Sorry.
That's okay. So one of my thoughts. I know that we have moved into a digital world and there is an expectation. My son tells me all the time, Mom, I applied online. And I'm like, could you just go in person and please just talk to somebody so is it still okay? Is it okay? How would a company look upon somebody who walks in the office door and says, I'm very interested. I saw you at a position, whatever, and hands over their resume. Is that still okay, or is it actually frowned upon? Like, really, we don't want to see you in person. We'd really rather you just did it online.
So I would always say in person, phone calls, some type of contact is always preferable. Okay. If you send something in, call. Okay. Make sure following up. I had even years ago, I was out west and I applied for a job back here. Well, it was a week before I got the newspaper to find a job, and another week for me to send the resume in. Okay, as soon as I got as soon as I sent that resume, I was on that phone the next day saying, please do not hire without looking at my resume, because I have this, and this experience, which is exactly what you're talking about in your newspaper ad. So, having that contact, I think, is important. I hired co-ops based on physical letters that they sent. Okay, because we didn't have a mode of hiring co-ops. So they would send the letter in, and it was like, wow, okay, I hadn't thought about hiring co-ops. I hired co-ops based off of a letter that was just randomly sent to me. Okay, so that type of
doesn't hurt.
Does not hurt.
Okay.
The resume, the online thing is a black hole.
Okay. So like showing an investment, again, it goes back to that showing the investment, showing you're interested.
Yeah.
And, to round up our conversation here.
I got two more things. I'm sorry. I have more. I'll be really fast, I promise. Sorry, viewer who's out there. Okay. So my second thing, because I had 3 total. Second thing, I heard you say that when you were out looking for a job that you had, like, you canvassed an area. You basically like cold called or went to every single, like, you just had a list of companies and you went. Mm-hmm. I want to highlight that for our students, that it is okay to do that. There's nothing wrong with having a stack of your resumes and going out and go company to company, do that in person, talk to people, because you really only need one to say yes, right? You just
yes. Think about it. You put 100 resumes out there. If it's 10, if you get 10 callbacks, if you put 10 resumes out there, and 10% is only 1 callback. I would rather have 10 people call me, and then that's my choice. 1 person called me, it's their choice.
Right. So, love that. Love that. Last one, promise. Third thing. So it's been fun to talk to each instructor to find out what they recommend for attire, because what we just heard from Mr. Heimbach and Mr. Mack out in diesel and heavy equipment, I'm guessing is going to be different than what you're going to tell us for your field.
Okay.
So what would you recommend somebody wear?
So there's 2 things. If you're going into the engineering, if you're coming out of engineering school as an engineer, you should wear basically a suit and tie, or at least a jacket and tie with dress pants. Okay. And believe it or not, be neatly groomed. Okay. Make sure that you've made yourself presentable. But if you're going into
about this, like hiding tattoos, if you can hide the tattoos, hide them. If you have piercings, take them out.
Yes.
If your hair color is something, dye it back to something natural.
I hate to say, but people do get impressions, and you're dealing with now that person's preconceived notions of whatever it is they're looking at. So, you know what? Don't give them that chance. You can always be different later, but at that moment, you can still present your personality. But if you're going into maintenance, so that's the other route, is you just go right in maintenance and not from engineering. That you can get away with just you don't need necessarily a suit on, a casual, a business casual. A tie does not hurt, but you can get away with a nice long sleeve shirt, dress pants, that type of thing. Jeans, never wear jeans. Don't wear anything with holes in it. Okay. So the old adage, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. That's kind of how you have to look.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to finish that out as our final tip for the day.
Okay.
I really appreciate all of your help, and all of your insight. It's been really valuable and helpful. I hate to be the one to have to cut it off, but our viewers will be feeling a little stressed. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed our Career Talk Tuesday, and we'll see you next week. Have a good week.
Bye-bye now. Thanks.